Well, hello again everyone, welcome back, and back we are to the Canberra. This has taken some time to get to this particular stage because, as many of you will know, I don't particularly care for masking, and I've just completed the painting of the dark green this afternoon, and as you perhaps might be aware, I have used outlaw paints on this, which I like to throw around, as you can probably see. They've gone down particularly well. They're very easy to spray. They're very consistent. So you could buy several bottles. They spray absolutely consistently out of the bottle. So it's really very good, to be honest with you. But what I'm going to do is attempt to pick the masks off these, because I think I'm done with them now. And so we can see how the intermasking paints, intermasking gets on, and whether I've kept the mask dry so that it doesn't leak under. So I'm going to need a couple of things. I'm going to need one of them and a pair of them. Well, actually it's one of them, one tweezer. I don't know why they call it a pair, because that's a pair of tweezers. That's one tweezer, if you ask me. But let's not get bogged down in the grammar, shall we? That's not for me, is it? But what we will do is we'll just get along with pulling off this, as they say on Blue Peter, sticky-backed plastic. It's going to be a bit of a swear fest, I suspect, but we'll see how we get along, shall we? That was, I thought that was something unpleasant there. It's not. It's okay. So we'll just pull these things off and stick them down there out of the way, and see how we get along. Now, this is a large surface to paint, and you've got to be quite careful with how you do this, otherwise you end up with something that looks a bit like a toy, and that's not perhaps where you might want to go. I think the other thing that I haven't done that perhaps it might be a good idea to do also is to wear some of those plastic gloves. I do have a plastic glove here. I have one, so I shall put one of these on. So there we go. We have it's green, as you can see, because everybody has to be green these days, don't we? There we are. And that's about as green as I get, to be honest with you, apart from being cabbage looking. And so anyway, there we go. I'm trying to be humorous there. I don't think I'm scheduled for humour today, so this is going to be boring, I'm afraid, unless I choose my monotone voice of here is the unmasking and I am pulling this piece of tape off here, and no, let's not do that, eh? That probably wouldn't be the best thing to do. So I'm using a wooden stick because you run less risk of scratching paintwork, although the lacquer paints tend to be a little more hard wearing than the non-lacquer paints, shall we say. And what we might do here actually is we might just pull the bottom bits off as well, and we'll be able to see what goes on under there as well. And that's, as you can see, light aircraft grey. I must admit the colour of the light aircraft grey looks a little different to that which I had expected, but be that as it may, the fact that I don't think it's the fact that I think it's a different colour doesn't necessarily mean that it is so. So anyway, be that as I say, be that as it may. So let's go back to here. I know lots of people like to see masking being taken off as well, because it's one of those things that gives a nice result at the end of it, I would have to say. Just put that there, and then we can, there we go. Turn that over quickly there. Now this paint also, I think I might have mentioned this, it does dry rather quickly, which means that you can be off to pulling the masks off fairly rapidly as you choose. Now in here I'm going to have to be a bit careful because there is a actually there is a piece of broken off bit. There you can see it, there it is. So we'll carefully pull that away. You know what that is, that's the aerial under there. I broke it off, and so it's going to need to be refitted. And the reason I broke it off was because I wasn't really careful enough in grasping the back of this particular little devil when I was doing the job. So there we are. So we'll just turn this over again, and what we can then do is start to look towards the top here. So there we go. I'll begin to pull this lot away. I did this in several sections, as you can see. And therefore it needs to come off in several sections, so we have to be patient with this. There we go, and careful with sharp objects, as you will be, I've no doubt, only too well aware. So that's the next bit then that we need to do here. And I know that you'll all be in their modelling land pointing out, now look here, Zinner's old boy, you've started touching the paintwork with your grubby paw here. Put that down there. We're going to have little pledgets of masking tape all over the show, aren't we, by the end of this? But there you are, that's what we do. And these edges do seem to be coming along quite nicely. They've come off quite well, it's fair to say, so far at least, anyway. Put that over there out of the way. This tape, by the way, sticks to this paint map really rather better than you would want it to. Let's put it like that. And okay, so I've used, in terms of masking tape here, I've used the Tamiya sheets of masking tape. I have some of that black putty that you can use, but to be honest with you, I dislike that myself because I'm not quick at masking, and that black putty, although it's very easy to use, it behaves like a liquid. So the net result is, if you've got it running over an edge, it dangles down and it starts to run away, and it also flattens itself out as it goes after time. So if you put the stuff on and then leave it for even 3-4 hours, it starts to flatten out and it extends across the edges that you want, and it might extend, shall we say, too far. So let's have a quick look at this. This is going to be quite an interesting one. I'm pulling this very carefully. Oh, that demarcation's worked out quite nicely there. These are the things that I particularly worry about. You can see how sharp that all is. That's turned out rather nicely, actually, so that's good. I shall carry on with the upper bodywork now, as I was before. We're going to come up with some challenges in a bit, as well, as you'll probably work out with the canopy masking. And I'm probably going to have to remask these canopies here, or the canopy, upper canopy up here, because I'll need to varnish over this after I've painted on the roundels, which is what I'm also going to do. Oh, no, that's all right. I need to pull this carefully and slowly, otherwise it won't end up well. There we go. There we go. Now this seems to be turning out okay so far. Thus far, anyway. Let's put it like that. Now, I can't remember precisely how I did that. Well, those little areas there seem to have turned out quite nicely. There's not been any underspray under here either, so that's good. So let's just turn that over a minute and have a quick look underneath there. Yeah, we'll come back to that in a second, I think. So we'll go inboard here and we'll fetch that mask off there. We can pull both those sections off together and then everything comes off with it. There's a little splodge there that I might have to recover. Yeah, that'll be the ocean grey, or the dark ocean grey colouring, but that won't be a problem because, as I've said, this paint goes down, this outlaw paint goes down really rather well. It's quite spectacular as it happens in terms of how it looks and how it behaves. Just very carefully pull that section off there. There we go. And keep going nice and gently there. I need to move that section there. So we're nearly done. I'll just pull these sections off here. I know you can't see much of this, but it's going more nicely than I expected, which is good. I'm pleased with that. This has been on for a few days now, this particular section, so I'm going to be quite careful with this, but once again it seems to come off very nicely. Seems to be, oh no, bashing into stuff here. Just a bit of dust falling on it there. I'll just take this and pull this away, I think. As you can see, what I've done there, I've just used tape where I need to and kitchen towel where I don't need to. That makes it slightly less costly, because masking tape's relatively expensive and the rest of it is not. This sort of tape isn't really particularly what's it called, kitchen roll is not particularly expensive, so now this is going to look quite even, I think, on this lower wing section, and it may look a bit toy-like, as it were. I don't like them to look that way, but it may do. If it does, you know, it does. That's just the way of these things, I'm afraid. And we'll see. Oh, yeah, they've come through all right. Those mask down here have come through nicely. That seems to have worked quite well. Right, now you're near the end. I'm near the end here, so I need to redouble my efforts at being patient rather than ripping it off as quickly as possible. That's not a good idea, experience has taught me. So we'll just keep going in the same gentle, patient way, applying low and even pull on the tape to remove it. Yeah, there we go. Nice and neatly there. Away and away. Oh, bash into the paints again. Yeah, that looks nice. That's what we would want. Again, that seems to be okay. There's a few areas I'm not particularly. Oh no, that's all right. That's a few little areas that I'd be happier with when they're done. Nice and gently. So that's the not quite the mask section there, but we'll get to that in a second. So this section here, just draw that away gently, and we can see the curved line there, and we'll just look at the other side of that as well. That curved line there looks okay. Now we can move forwards again. Right, now we're going to have to be quite careful, I think. And you can see that curved line on that grey paint there. That's turned out very nicely as well. I'm quite pleased with that. I'm having a bit of a trouble lifting that. There we go. Now, some say that if you leave this tape down for too long, then it may lift paint with it, and I've certainly heard of people say that that's the case, and I don't dispute that at all. Again, I'm having to steady myself from trying to go terribly quickly here. It's best not to. Just gentle, slow, patient removal. Don't need any of these bullet a gate tactics, but as I say, so far with this tape, it's not dragged any paintwork away with it. Oh, so here's where we start to pull the mask away. So as I said, I'm going to have to probably remask before I complete the job, when I have to put in some put on some what do they call it, varnish. That's the stuff, that's the word I was searching for. Right, we're nearly there now, everybody, and oh no, it hasn't. Oh, look at that, it hasn't actually pulled away the cockpit mask. All these other two masks here, all that third mask there, that's good. I'm quite pleased about that. Or awfully much of that mask either. So there we have it. I'll just turn it over. Oh, there's a couple of bits that I've missed here that need to be taken off. Again, very gently. We're nearly there, nearly. Let's pull the last of these off, and then we can look at the lines, the demarcations, and make sure that our painting has been good. I must admit, this sort of thing, when you're using an airbrush and perhaps maybe not using an airbrush for very long, a bit like me. It's a real confidence booster when you finally lift your paint masks to discover that, oh, there's a bit of bleed under there, look. If I'm going to be ultra critical, let's just go in so that you can see that. There you go, you can see a little bit under there, just a tiny bit, but I had to wait right to the end for that. So you people who zipped through this without watching it all in detail, yeah, well, you may have missed that, and if you've just come to the point now where you've just picked up on it, and you've missed all my terribly funny jokes, and you'll have to look back through to see them. I'm being unkind to you there, because there weren't any, of course, as you will only too much have known. So there we go. I'd say they've come out quite nicely, and if we look at the plan, let's take this glove off. I don't particularly like these things, they make your hands sweat in the middle of them, which is all very well, but I don't care for that. Just study the plan and see how close I've got to it. It's pretty close, it's not exact, but it's pretty close. So let's have a quick look. Can't really see all of it, but if you look at the, yeah, it's worked out all right. I think that's as close as you might want it. So we're gonna have to look out for the bottom of this now, because we've got only paint on there. So I'll move metal things out of the way. I may find a little pad to put it on or something like that, but there we go. So that's the top coat paint for the Canberra. The next task will be to make the roundels. I use the cry cut to do that, so will be roundels top, sides here, and lettering on the bottom, and obviously the flash as well. I may have to, well, in fact I certainly will have to use a fin flash decal on that. I think it's a bumblebee or a hornet or something like that, but there we go. So we're going along very nicely, thank you very much. I'm reasonably pleased with how that's turned out. A slightly glossy finish, which is fine. I'm quite okay with that. That looks all right, so I'm not too displeased with that. So there we are. Anyway, that's demasking for you. Bit of fun there. So thanks very much indeed for watching, and I do hope you'll join me on the next one. And thanks very much for your time today. Cheers for now. Bye bye.